Have you ever looked at your ad results and thought to yourself, I'm spending all of this money. Where are the leads? If so, this episode's for you. We're gonna walk through all of the different reasons your ads aren't working. And it's probably not what you think it is. It has nothing to do with the dreaded algorithm and everything to do with your ad strategy.
I can't tell you how many times we've spoken to experienced, intelligent entrepreneurs just like you who've hired an agency, they've ran ads to every lead magnet, they've followed every blueprint that they could find, they have ChatGPT'd how to run ads themselves, and yet they still don't have a return on investment with their ads. If this is you, you're not broken and you're not a failure. You're just in a system that's working against you because most people aren't sharing the full picture of what it actually takes to run Facebook ads that actually work.
So in this video, we're walking you through the top 10 reasons your ads are failing and how to fix them. Because if you're gonna spend money on ads, we wanna make sure it's actually moving your business forward. Hi, I'm Greta.
And I'm Judy.
And we're here to tell you something most ad agencies won't. If your Facebook ads aren't working, it's not just about the ads. It's about your strategy, structure, and setup. And honestly, it's probably your agency's fault. It probably is their agency's fault. Let's be honest, Paige. Here's the thing. If your ads aren't working, it's probably not you, your business, or your offers. It's most likely the fact that your ad agency doesn't know how to structure something that sells, position you as an expert, and make sure that you are presented to your buyers in a way that they actually want to buy.
Okay.
At Bringing Simplicity, we run ads for 6- and 7-figure business owners. We've audited dozens of broken accounts, and what we've found is these same 10 mistakes happening over and over again.
If you want to stop wasting your budget and scale with ads that convert, this video is your cheat sheet.
Let's dive in to mistake number 1. Do you know what it is, Judy?
I think that they don't have a proven offer.
What does that mean?
So many things, so they haven't sold it.
Oh, okay.
I would say that's one thing. If you've never sold your offer before, that means you haven't validated it.
All right, Judy. So you're saying that you first have to validate your offer. How do I do that?
Yeah, so first, if you have some sort of audience, you're gonna wanna do a poll or maybe test out a couple of lead magnets and see which one they grab, because that's gonna allow you to gather information. Greta, metrics for you.
I love metrics.
You love metrics, right? On exactly which offer they're gonna lean towards, right? So if we're doing something with a coaching program, you might start off by saying, hey, maybe it's like the length of the program, or maybe it's an in-person coaching program versus a virtual coaching program. Maybe it's something that also has like the length of time of the program, and you might be testing different price points, right? It's a lot of A/B testing as far as the offer goes.
Okay. What if I don't have an audience, Judy?
If you don't have an audience, if you know somebody who does, who has a similar audience, they might be able to validate the offer for you. That's one way to do it.
Yeah.
Or you can start by gaining an audience. So it's either borrowing an audience or getting your own, which you can do. Greta, you talk a lot about getting your own audience through running small reach campaigns to lead magnets or other ways.
Yeah. And seeing what is getting your likes, saves, shares, and what are the common topics that people gravitate towards. And then I'm going to build an offer around that.
So if you have a validated offer and your ads aren't working, you might be making mistake number 2.
Which is your offer isn't aligned with your buyer's journey. So if you think about the buyer's journey, a lot of times we'll create like a $47 easy yes, but then we don't actually nurture them to the next thing. We just assume that because they spent $47 with us, they're now gonna spend $5,000 with us. We haven't necessarily thought through, because basically when we solve a problem, we wanna be presenting the next problem, right? So for example, when we create our reach guide to running ads, that is super helpful in and of itself, right? But ultimately, reach ads aren't the only ads you're gonna need, right? So that automatically sells into Simplicity Ad System, which teaches you multiple different types of campaigns to run. And this isn't deceitful, right? We can only handle so much at a time. Like we can't learn it all. And so you want to think through your buyer's journey and actually help them walk through the path. People make one of two mistakes. They either have a small offer that's not attached to the big offer, or they jump right to the big offer, which people don't even see that they have that problem yet, right?
Yes, but I think a big part of it, Greta, is that once they validated their offer, like you said, they think they have enough. And then all of a sudden you're talking to your leads because you don't have a buyer's journey of what their next step is. Like you said, their next pain point. And then all of a sudden they go somewhere else and they say, oh, I went over here to go get my ad scripts. And then you're like, but we do ad scripts, but you haven't walked them through anything. It wasn't why do they need this next step? Why do they need the ad scripts now, right? Hey, we offer these packages. They're going to find somewhere to buy it, and so you might as well present it. So I think a lot of times what we fall into is people are afraid to present that too soon, even after somebody buys. But that's really when they want to buy their next thing.
Yeah, and you always say, Judy, don't prime your buyer for somebody else to sell to them. You need to be willing to make that sale.
Yeah, you should listen to me. That sounds good.
That brings us to mistake number 3, which is your ad copy is talking at people instead of to them. So when we think about taking somebody through a buyer's journey, it's really something we're doing together, right? We want to feel relatable. We want to show that we've been where they are now and we've made it to a new place. But we don't want to talk above them. But we do still want to sound like a thought leader, right? So your ad copy has to sound relatable and authentic, not too ChatGPT, and really guide the person through that buyer's journey.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. We sometimes, which is why it's nice to bring in people like us into your business, because we know exactly what they needed. We can see it from a different lens. Sometimes you're too far ahead, and where you really just need to be one step ahead of your buyer in order to allow them to see the journey that they're on. Because if you lead them, like you said, too far in advance, right, then they're just gonna freeze and not make any buying decision at all.
Yeah. Bottom line, nobody actually cares if you're a 6-figure coach. They want to know that you care about them, that you want them to get results, right? This is about them, not about you. So you don't want your landing pages or your ad copy or anything in your funnel to be all about you. This isn't your resume. You do want to establish yourself as an expert, but it's not about you. It's about them.
Mistake number 4 is a big one, and it's that you're not showing up consistently on social media. So Greta, what does showing up consistently mean? Because that can mean something different to other people. We have 2 parts of showing up consistently.
For sure. I think that, first of all, you do not have to post every day. That's what most people would define as consistently. In our world, you can post 3 times a week and the algorithm will still favor you. You also want to be super consistent with your message. You don't want to be talking about this one day, this another day, this the next day. You want people to hear the same message from you over and over again. That's consistency. Right, Judy?
Yes.
Judy, the other thing that you often talk about is that people are going to look to your social media to say, like, is this person a real human? And are they going to keep showing up for me and this program, or are they going to bail like they do on their social media? You don't say that?
Oh, I do. Okay.
You're not like, yeah, Greta. Like, she just stares at me.
You're staring at the camera, so I'm like, is she done talking to them? Is she back talking? She now talking back to me. Yes, Greta, you're absolutely right. Especially because right now in the world of AI, they're like, if they
You're a robot.
yeah, you can't be a robot. I mean, there's so many, like you can do fake videos now,
I know.
right? People can even take your content and show up as you wherever they want to. So, how long have you been showing up? How consistent have you been? And how have you gotten results recently? I think that's another thing you said about earlier. You said, hey, they want to know what you can do for them, but they also want to know what you've done for someone like them recently. And so that's key to being like, okay, you're a human, you continue to show up and you continue to get people results while showing up because we know how many things have changed. I mean, in the ad world, we see it right now. Like it changes like week by week, month by month.
Yeah, for sure. Mistake number 5 is the one that breaks my heart the most. You don't have a funnel that converts, meaning you probably don't have enough follow-up built in. And that's probably because you get the ick factor when you think about consistently emailing, text messaging, or just in general following up with your people.
Okay, but Greta, before we even get to the funnel, which is also one of my favorite parts, you need to make sure that your landing page speaks to your audience. So it needs to be all about them again, not about you. Keep it simple, bullet points, like 3 bullet points of what's in it for them, and a clear call to action of what they need to do next to get into your funnel.
True. That's all part of the funnel. Okay, Judy, we've talked about simplicity in your funnel and your landing pages, but mistake number 6 kind of says the opposite. And this is something we talk about a lot because I'm not a very creative person. And that is you don't have enough variety in your ad creative, meaning you used to be able to do 6 different hooks with all the same body. And my favorite, Andromeda, says, no, no, no.
You're exactly right, Greta. So, I mean, our attention spans are like very they're limited, but they're also maxed, right? Our brains are on fire. We're seeing a scroll every 2 seconds on our phones. You're hearing, you also in life, we have a lot of things that are grabbing our attention. So it's important to give a variety in your everything that you do. And I don't mean this on like landing pages or anything like this. We're just talking strictly ad creative here. You just need different varieties for stories, right? I mean, back when first started running ads years ago, there wasn't story ads. There was just graphic, standalone, static ads. So you have to have different static ads. You have to have different ads for stories. You have to have video ads. You need to also have different creatives that speak to audiences and different pain points depending on what you're selling too.
Yeah, and we usually structure it where we have 8 single images, we throw in 1 or 2 carousels, and then we actually have our people record 8 different scripts, completely different scripts. Similar messaging, but we don't want them just mixing up the hook. They're literally changing all of the content in those videos.
Yeah, because sometimes your audience, depending on what type of day they have, need to hear the same message but in a little different light. And you'd be surprised at how many times people are like, hey, I see your ads everywhere. Even just adding in just a couple more different creatives will make Andromeda happy and push your ad dollars to make sure it pushes money towards the different creatives that you add in. It really likes rewarding for creativity right now versus like just simply different hooks that you have, for instance. Like just changing 1 to 2 words on a static image right now is not gonna cut it.
Okay, and not only are we doing different types of ads, so we just talked about how we always have 8 single images, some carousels, and then 8 specific videos. We also always utilize our 3-pronged approach, which has reach ads, a lead gen ad, and then something that's a direct to CTA. So whether that's a booked call or a low ticket offer. So we're varying the type of ads as well. All right, Judy. So now we've got creative going, or maybe you've already nailed the creative. What do you see as mistake number 7?
Yeah. So mistake number 7 is people are coming in, right? You're saying they've solved the problems. You got leads coming in. you're not telling them where to go. So they have no idea what they need to do next, which means you're probably, like you said earlier, you're not following up enough. You're not sending that initial email, text message to say, hey, these are other items we offer, or hey, so glad to see you here. If you're here, that means you'd probably like these other items too.
Right. This kind of all ties together too. It's about a consistent message that takes somebody through your buyer journey, right? So the follow-up is not just about quote unquote follow-up, it's helping somebody understand how you can help on that buyer journey. I don't know why this is always the buyer journey.
Yeah, that's just
It's a windy road.
Okay, I like it.
Now, mistake number 8 is probably one of the most common ones that we hear, honestly, when we talk with potential people who want to work with us. And it's kind of why most ad agencies suck. And that's because there's a million things you can measure when it comes to ads, but they all focus on a low cost per lead. And here's the thing, a low cost per lead means nothing, literally absolutely nothing if you don't convert them to sales. So when you're looking at your ads, you want to be measuring what's your cost to book call? How do you actually get those people to talk to you? Because then you know if they're a quality lead. Or you want to be measuring your cost per sale. And I could talk about this for hours, but the reality is you do not want to be paying more for a sale than that sale is worth to you. So if you have a $5,000 offer, you don't want to be spending $50,000 on ads. Again, you might be thinking, Greta, you're crazy. Of course I'm not going to spend $50,000 on ads when I have a $5,000 offer. But the reality is it happens all the time because ad agencies will tell you this is working. You're getting leads for only $12 per lead. Like they're in your funnel. This is not my problem. This is your problem.
Yeah, Greta, exactly. They'll come and say, oh, yeah, like your nurture sequence, like whatever you have going on in the funnel, because most ad agencies won't even look at your entire funnel. So they'll just assume that you have something going on in the back end to be able to convert these. But the reality is, if they're not asking you these questions, like Greta said, like what is your cost per, booked call or anything like that, then that means that honestly, they're an ad agency that you should probably not hire to run your ads because they can't properly, they basically only care about their bottom line of making themselves look good and saying like, hey, we were able to get all of our clients CPL for $2 per lead. You should actually be looking at what is their average ROAS for all of their clients. And if you don't know what that is, return on ad spend, we walk through that in another video. What I really want to talk about is that this kind of ties in everything together that we just talked about. So you're like, wait, how do I get that cost per sale? Or how do I get that cost per booked call? And that is through your funnel. If you don't have these touch points, that means you're not asking them to book a call with you, right? You're not asking for the sale. You're not tracking those items, which means you don't have a funnel. So it goes into all of the 7 steps we just talked about leading up to this one.
Right. And if you do have all of those things and it's still not working, then you need to go back and ask yourself, have I validated the offer? And if the answer is no, you're going to start back at mistake 1. Okay, Judy. And now we're going to move on to mistake number 9, which is really honestly all you. And I've learned so much over the last 3 years. And that's that they're not willing to have sales conversations. And I kind of get it, but can you walk through how you see that with clients?
Why they don't want to have sales conversations?
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it's subconscious of like, they don't want to be turned down. Like you don't actually want to go back and be like, hey, I need to restructure this and put a better offer together. That's why my people aren't buying. And you don't want to hear the truth because you're gonna have to fix it. Once you hear it, you can't unhear it. And now you want to go fix it. But people are afraid to get on sales calls because they feel like it gives them the ick feeling, right? Like all of us have been taught at a very young age that sales is nasty. Like, oh, that person's a salesperson. They're just trying to sell you. But they're not going to it as a frame of, if I don't help this person right now with their pain, with their struggle that they're in, then who is going to?
Right. And they're not seeing it as a service.
Yeah, you're not seeing it as a service. So if you are someone here who really knows that you have a badass offer, you have helped people, you know you can, and you know you're willing to do anything you can to help them achieve their results, then you won't be afraid to hop on a sales call.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need to be called a sales call either, right? So like that's another way is reframe it, call it something different if for some odd reason that's stalling you from moving forward, but just have a conversation of, hey Greta, I'm so excited to talk to you today. This is a discovery call. I'm really just excited to learn about you and your business and to see if we're the best solution for you or not. And if not, then I'm happy to refer you to somebody else or happy to give you some resources that might help you get to the level where we can serve you in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
Ooh, okay. Mistake number 10, and some of you want to do this right now, especially if you have an ad agency who's been burning your ad budget, is that you give up too soon. You give up right before you're about to win. You give up right before you're going to reach like your very first client. We've seen it over and over again where it's like somebody's like, oh, I shut that program down. And then you start talking because you feel comfortable. You start talking to your audience again because you don't have anything to sell. You don't have anything to offer now. And they're like, hey, if I would have known about that offer, I would have bought it.
Yeah. This is an interesting of like teetering the line, right? Because this is exactly how people get into spending $8,000 a month over and over again because they feel like they just have to stay committed enough. So the only like asterisk or caveat I would put to this is not giving up doesn't necessarily mean wasting money. There are low cost options like reach ads that you can do to start to do validating your offer and other things that we've talked about through here, because ultimately it shouldn't take long to make money off of ads when you're doing things correctly, right? Most of our clients, we always mentally prepare them that it might take 3 months for them to make money. But in reality, almost every single one has made money within 30 days because of the way we structure their ads.
Yeah, and like you said, Greta, not only does it not take a big budget, it doesn't take a lot of time, and it's not hard to learn. Like we teach VAs to do this. Like your VA could right now go in and run reach ads for you. We've had our VAs do it. We've taught other clients' VAs to do it. So this is something that's super simple that most ad agencies will run from because it does not make them look good. But we run towards reach ads because we know that it's going to allow us to make sure we can nurture your audience in order to prime them to buy your offer.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so we just walked you through the 10 mistakes to avoid so that you don't waste money on ads and what to do instead. If you loved this content, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and make sure you tune into our next video.
You almost said episode.
I almost said episode.
Video.
Judy
just says it to the camera and say like, bye, or see you next time, or something.
See you in the next video.
See you next time.
Bye. See you next time. As your foot in the video. See you next time. I'm supposed to say bye. Me. Okay. Stop. So I can say it. Jesus. Breathe. Chris. Okay. Bye. Stop.
I can't breathe.
Bye. I didn't regret this.